Hell yeah.
All right, well, Cy, welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you taking the time.
Oh well, thanks for having me, man. So it's a privilege.
So, before we get too far into everything else, listeners know a little bit about you and your band because you guys are kind of a newer band. So, before we talk about other topics, I figure we should get in so people are like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah. So excuse me. Yeah, Thoughtsize is a fairly new band. Well, we've been a band for 2 years,
Mhm.
but we like play really sporadically. Like we don't really do shows here or there because a lot of us, well, the three of us in the band are all in loads of other bands,
Mhm.
and that's kind of how we formed. Is that I it's not really a super group because we're all local bands, but we kind of like is an amalgamation of a bunch of other bands from the scene, which kind of helped us get eyes on us locally, at least from the start, because people knew what to expect. I play in a bunch of other bands. I play in a band called Helpless, which is like kind of like a Converge, Gaza-y kind of post grind.
Oh,
I
nice.
play in a band called Rash Decision, which is like crossover thrash. I'm in a band called Monolithian, which is like two-piece black and doom metal. And I'm in a band called Swan Song, which is kind of like post grunge. But then our drummer Hamish, he was in this band called Bangers, which is like a fairly successful sort of power punk band. And our bassist Ledley is in a band called Tin Fruit, who are like kind of semi-locally legendary garage rock band. So when we all
Okay.
came together, everyone was like, "Oh well, that's side Hamish and Dan. It's gonna have to be interesting." So we didn't really need to play that much because we didn't have to kind of build up any kind of reputation. Um, but so we've been in a band for 2 years, but didn't really play that much. But it wasn't until we recorded our debut album that we just released a couple of days ago that we were like, you know what, let's really try and give it a go.
Yeah.
Um, so we're finally, you know, like you found us through a post I put on the Magic the Gathering Reddit,
Yeah.
just being like, "Hey, we're a band. I've just released an album. You might enjoy it. Check it out." And in doing so, it's really put a whole lot of eyes on us quite quickly. So it's been an overwhelming weekend.
Yeah, I mean it's the two things I love the most is Magic the Gathering and heavy metal. And you
Dude,
guys have a
absolutely.
song named after my favorite commander, Omnath Locus of so the
Dude.
music's good, so it was just like a perfect storm. I was like, yeah, man, I gotta talk to these guys. Like, why not?
Yeah, no, that's why it's a privilege because I look at some of your previous guests that you've had on recently, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like, I'm just, we're just a small fucking little death band from Cornwall in the UK.
I think it's important to showcase underground bands too. Like a
Yeah.
lot of those bands wouldn't exist without the underground, and they all started in the under. You got to kind of like keep your pulse or keep your finger on that stuff. I try to
Mm,
as much as I possibly can. It's not it's not easy because there's so many bands and music
so
coming
much
out all the
stuff.
time. But I try to, every couple months I try and look for like a local or kind of like newer band. I'm like, hey man, come on the podcast, tell everybody about your shit because it's very important. Um,
Mm,
I don't think that just because I've had bigger guests, like I should not try and help out or like be interested in other bands because like I don't I don't I don't know how to explain it. It's just like
no, I
I'm
feel you.
interested in catering to everybody. Like I
Yeah,
play all facets of music. I always have. So it's just important too to showcase that kind of stuff.
yeah, exactly. And I think when you start putting bands on pedestals, and you're like, well, I've had this level of guests, so I have to only then have that level of guests from then on. You kind of just making things difficult for yourself and missing out on good
Yeah.
shit, like you said.
Yeah, it's crazy. I get emails all the time from like kind of newer bands and like I'll check their stuff time, but it's just like a matter of like scheduling too. Like sometimes I can't fit stuff in and it's just I
Mm,
can do this, but it's probably not going to come out for like a month or won't be the case with this, luckily. So
hell yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think I've always been involved in local scenes and scenes, so just trying to support those bands. They need every little help. So I still do that. I have a couple friends that are in local bands around here that I'm trying to get on the podcast. And funny enough, kind of same story you were talking about. It's like this melting pot of like this dude's in this band, but also in this band, and then like they're not a super group, but they all know each other. And I think
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's just indicative of local music in general. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, the thing that I like to start off with on this podcast is your personal heavy metal history. So, like those bands and records that you remember hearing that kind of shaped your interest into the genre, and now where it's evolved to where you're at now.
Right. So it's funny because when I was a kid, I like the thing I cared least about in the world was music.
Hmm.
Um, but it wasn't until my sister started listening to like new metal that I wanted to, she's like 5 years older than me, so I wanted to be cool like her. So she was listening to like Linkin Park and Slipknot and Tool, and it wasn't until I heard her listening to Tool that I was like, oh, I like that. I really want to listen to more of that, especially the end of Parabola where it gets really, really slow.
Hmm.
And I think that planted a seed in my brain where I knew I wanted to listen to lots of doom metal.
Yeah.
So so quite early on it was like new metal, and then I jumped from that into punk. Wasn't really listening to metal, and then I jumped straight into like extreme metal from there. So it was like there was no like sort of transitional bands where I was listening to like Disturbed or like Trivium or anything. It was like straight from Tool to listening to the Misfits to then going straight into like Cannibal Corpse
Yeah.
and like Sleep and Electric Wizard and things like that.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was for me too, man. Like a lot of my friends in high school were like really into like metalcore and a bunch of transitional bands. And
Mm.
I liked some of that stuff, but like yeah, it was like I was huge into punk. Like that's I always ever since I've been doing this podcast, I've always preached that like punk is just as much metal as anything else because if it wasn't
Oh,
for
dude,
punk, you wouldn't have
absolutely.
thrash. Um, and so yeah, I just went from punk straight to kind of like you were saying, like Cannibal Corpse, Napalm Death, Cradle of Filth, and just like everybody, all my friends were like, "What is this shit? Like, I don't want to hear that. I would just want to hear
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
chugs and singing." And I'm like, "That's fine. What I want to
Yeah.
hear."
Well, when I did music in college. So in the UK, we'd like college is kind of like a kind of pre-university, and then we go to university. I don't know what it's like in America, but
Yep.
when I was in college, I just studied music, and a lot of the people that in that music class were listening to yeah to like stuff like Killswitch Engage and
Hmm.
early Bring Me the Horizon, like metalcore and deathcore stuff, and I was yeah listening to fucking like Mayhem and shit like that, like the Faceless and or just
Oh shit, yeah.
anything like super extreme. But I'm also listening to like Acid King and I Hate God, and so I couldn't really relate to to those folk because it was like I was listening to like almost outsider art compared to what they were listening to.
Yeah.
But I can go
Yeah.
back these days and listen to like Killswitch Engage and totally appreciate it. But I think I just fell into the extreme super early.
Yeah, I think some of those bands for me like were always really hit or miss. Like it's like okay, like I like this album, I can listen to this, but then like they would do another album and I'd be like, I'm not really feeling this, so like I'm just not gonna
Mm,
waste my time. Oh, then there's other bands like no
yeah,
matter what they
absolutely.
put out, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to that for sure.
Yeah, totally. I think some bands just have a consistency and a growth that just draws you in more
Yeah,
than others, you know.
that's true. Yeah, one thing I think I brought this up a long time ago on the podcast, but one thing I've always kind of maintained, especially with like British music, is you guys have always been kind of the forefront of a lot of stuff. One of my favorite like non-metal bands, and roast me, roast me if this is too on point, but I fucking love
No
Queen, man.
judgment. Oh, dude,
I think
absolutely.
Brian
Like
May's
if you
guitar
play,
playing. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. No, I was gonna say like Queen in England is so um it's kind of universally loved that like if you don't really like Queen, people are kind of like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
Yeah,
I, I feel like that's kind of like Bruce Springsteen or something in America, where like it's almost
yeah,
like you have to love it, otherwise you're not a picture it. But if you put like Bohemian Rhapsody on in like any pub or venue, everyone in that pub or venue will stop and sing along in unison until that song is done. Give each other a hug and a high five, and then carry on with their day. So
I
no,
love it.
no judgment for loving Queen.
Yeah, it's just like there's been so many bands, like even on the punk side of things too, that have just like a lot of music that we kind of like steal, not even kind of, we just steal from from you guys. I mean, if you look at like even Carcass, early grindcore and like the melodic death
Mm.
metal side of it, like a lot of bands here ripped off that style so much, in my opinion. I'm sure people listening will be like, no, that's not
Well,
right. But
yeah. Well, I think it's kind of a symbiotic thing because I think we kind of influence each other. Because
mhm.
I think like there was two different kinds of punk happening in like the UK. It was like lots of like really fast street punk, and then in the US you had that hardcore punk.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of the UK bands that were inspired by like hardcore punk bands like Bad Brains or Black Flag then went on to create like grindcore, and then a lot of then that kind of inspired like the sort of thrash bands to make sort of more death metal, and I think it kind of bounces off each other. It's kind of like this ricochet of ideas that just keeps snowballing and snowballing.
I love that. Instead of saying ripping off, just rip
Yeah,
on
instead of ripping off, I think it's
fire.
like an unintentional multi-continental think tank. Yeah, but I think that's how the best bands are born. It's like look
Yeah,
if you look at like Mastodon, there's like a bunch of dudes from various local bands went to go see High on Fire in someone's basement, all decided to form a band, and now they're like one of the most influential bands in the last 20 years.
yeah. I'm really curious how it's gonna sound with Bill leaving the band. Or wait, was it Bill?
It was Brent, yeah.
Brent. Yeah, Brent. Yeah,
Yeah,
be
I'm
interesting.
I'm yeah, I'm optimistic. We'll see. Because
Yeah,
Matt, I like Brent Hines is one of the most innovative guitar players ever, and his vocals as well are so like formative for that band.
yeah.
But he wants to play rockabilly and like country and stuff. So my hope is that now that he's left, maybe him kind of influencing the band to play sort of more softer stuff will go away, and they might release something that's really really brutal again, or
That would
they'll
be
go a
crazy.
different direction. We'll see.
Yeah, I think maybe taking that time off is all he needs to. They can do a couple records without him and come back rated.
I'm
Who
sure he
knows?
will. Yeah.
So, Magic the Gathering. It's,
Oh baby,
one of my favorite things. Uh,
absolutely.
what was the impetus for not forming the band, but like having the idea to use like Thoughtseize as the name and like be inspired by Magic the Gathering?
Right. I'll try to like make this as short as possible because
Hey, you don't
the
have to,
seed is
man.
planted many many years ago. So when I first started playing Magic was right at the end of the Return to Ravnica block and the start of the Theros block.
Me
I was
too.
looking for a new hobby, bought a bunch of packs, and I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna go to a draft. And my first three packs I opened, what the first pack had an Elspeth Suns champion. The second pack had a Mogus God of Slaughter, and the third pack had a Thoughtseize. And I was like, this is the sickest thing I've ever seen. Like, this is so sick. I still have the same Mogus that I use as the commander for my Mogus deck. Like, I still have it, and I still have the same
Oh
Elspeth. I don't
yes.
have the same Thoughtseize, sadly, but in that moment, I was like, you know what? This is like a sick song title or something. Like Thoughtseize. Like, that's cool as hell. And I kind of kept that in my mind. I kind of fell off from playing Magic for a while because this is another tangent, but I actually lost my eyesight. I went blind.
Oh wow.
Um, but so for years I couldn't play it. All I could really play was like Dungeons and Dragons or like very tactile board games. And then I had cornea transplants and got my eyesight back, and I was like, I started working in this game store, and I just picked up Magic again, hardcore, so playing it all
Yeah.
the time. And I just like kept this notes, like a note on my phone of every time I saw a card that like made me think of like would be a good song title. I just had this big long list. And the drummer Hamish, who used to play in Bangers, one of my favorite bands of all time, they split up, and he was starting to put on shows, and he was starting to be more of a metal guy. He always loved metal, but because he was playing in sort of like pop punk and like power punk bands, he could never really express himself as like a metalhead. But he was putting on like these death metal shows, and he was putting on this band from Scotland called Coffin Mulch, who are a great death
Okay.
metal band. You should really check them out.
Yeah.
And he was like, "There's not enough local metal bands to like put on the bill. Can we form a band and just to play this one show? Because I want to play some metal. Let's just have some fun. Let's just form a band. We'll write like 20 minutes worth of music." And I was like, "Shit, man, I'm already in like four of the bands. I'll only do it if we can make all the songs about Magic the Gathering." And he was like, "Deal." And he was just like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then I was like, "It's called Thoughtsize, and I'm going to write all these songs, and these are the song titles." I didn't really give him much of a choice.
Wow.
It wasn't until after, because that was just like, I can make time for it if I can do it about something I'm really passionate about. Um, and then we wrote loads of songs, and then we didn't have a bass player, so we asked Dan. He came in like the week before the gig, learned all the songs. We played it, and we were like, you know what, that was fucking really fun. Let's just keep going. And that's kind of how it started. Like that's how the band has got the theme.
Man, that's crazy. So,
Yeah.
what, if you don't mind me asking, what happened with the eyesight thing? That's if you want to talk about it. If not,
No, of
we can
course.
move on.
It's weird, man. Like I had this disease called keratoconus, which is like actually
Mhm.
quite common. And I may be explaining this wrong, but like what the eye doctor said was that when I was younger, I had really bad allergies, and I would like rub my eyes if I was like around a dog or like had hay fever. I'd like rub my eyes, and what I was doing was just like rubbing away my healthy cornea tissue.
Wow,
And then when I hit puberty, my eyesight started getting really bad, and then in my early 20s, it just like went completely. Not like
such a young
blackness, but
age.
like yeah, it was like trying to look at the world through like a window that's covered in Vaseline.
Yeah,
It's like I could see like shape and light and shadow and color and stuff, but I couldn't make out the details. Um, and I kind of lived with that for a long time, and I like toured a lot with my other bands, playing, learning how to play guitar and touring and being independent and going into, I could walk around Prague without anyone helping me because I learned to become independent with my eyesight. So then when my eyesight returned, when I was able to get it's called a full thickness cornea transplant.
hmm
It's where someone dies and they take the cornea from the cadaver and they remove mine and put mine in. And um so I had stitches in my eyes for 3 years, just to stop it from ejecting, which is pretty crazy.
yeah.
And then I just had to adjust to being able to see again. But I had already learned how to be so
Wow,
independent that it just meant that I felt like my playing went up another couple levels.
that's I mean that's crazy.
It's
Like
nuts.
I
It's like, and it's hard to
imagine.
like really explain it to people because it's so mad. Like it's such a strange concept to try and grasp, like losing your sight but then getting it back again. Like
Yeah.
not saying that happens very often.
Mhm.
So I'm very lucky. I mean, I was unlucky that it happened, but I was lucky that I was able to get it back.
Yeah, that's something you can't really take for granted because
Yeah, for
you just
sure.
never know. I have to like remind myself of that sometimes. It's like, like things kind of suck today, but like I can see, I can hear, I can walk. It's not that bad. It's like
Yeah,
you got to be thankful for those things.
yeah, for sure.
Man, well, I'm glad you got your eyesight back.
Me
That's,
too, man. I'm
So
glad
what
I
do you
got to fucking play Magic again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah, when you first kind of like got back into playing Magic and like, a lot of reading, what was that adjustment like? Like trying to like readjust to reading and like learn D again.
Yeah, it was hard, man. And I'm like, I've got dyslexia as well, so like, reading is not my strongest suit. But
hmm
I think I, I don't know. I think playing Magic helps with that because it kind of forces me to read small text.
It really
In
does.
the early days, it was a lot of like there'd be a lot of me being like, "Can you remind me what this card does again? Because I can't read it right now." Like, and having friends that are supportive and a good community locally that aren't going to be dicks when you play with them. Because you know
Yeah.
what it's like. Sometimes you go to local game stores and like, you can meet some fucking some dicks there, but everyone's been pretty nice. And a lot of the people I started playing with when I first got my eyesight back, they're now coming to the shows and being super supportive of that as well. So it's we played a local show just the other day, and people were coming up with cards to like for us to sign and shit. It was really fun. But
That's awesome.
yeah, the adjustment period was weird, but it's almost like physical therapy, but for my eyeballs.
Yeah, in 3 years, that's a so I can't imagine like just
Yeah,
all during that time and having stitches in there. Man.
yeah. You don't notice they're there until one of them like snaps, and then it feels like you've got a splinter in your eye, and you have to just go to hospital and just hope they can take it out. Sorry, that's pretty gruesome.
No,
Sorry for
I
anyone
mean
listening.
it's
That's
uh,
was a bit squeamish of that one, but it was pretty crazy.
even just getting an eyelash in my eye, I'm like, oh God, that sucks. So I can
Dude.
imagine.
Yeah. But now I'm like super like used to things in my eye that like I could probably like reach in and like grab my fucking eye and pull it out and not even be phased these days.
So back to magic stuff real quick. Or not even real quick. Like, so Theros was my first block too. That's when I got into magic. And
Oh shit,
so,
no way.
yeah. I also remember going to a pre-release. I didn't pull as many cool as you did, but I still remember the ones I did pull, and it was Theros, God of the Forge, and I pulled the hammer as well. And
Oh
so
hell yeah.
I've just always been like, well, what
Goblin
if
Town
this is
baby.
like, yeah, oh my God. I built that deck once and didn't go over so well, so it got taken apart real quick, and that's
That
fine.
happens. That was the same with my Tor brand deck. Like you build it, you play it once, and you're like, okay, everyone hates me. I've had my fun. I'll take this
Yep,
apart now.
yep. I can't. Oh, man, I've done that so many times with decks. It's like, oh, this will be a good idea. Like maybe everybody will have fun with this, and you play it like once or twice, and everybody groans and moans. Oh, shit, I'm probably
Mm.
not going to get to play that again. So just tear
Yeah,
it
I'm having an
apart,
issue
and
with that at the minute. I've got a Rogue Rack Arden like
that's,
sword tribal equipment thing.
I'm sure it's fast.
It's incredibly fast. I win between like turn 3 and 4 pretty much every time, and
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do to stop it. I mean, I could stop it. I could just not play the cards, but then what's the fun in that? So I don't get to play it very often because people just go, ugh.
Yeah, my buddy that I play with, he has that deck too, and it's like, all right, what can short of playing like a combo deck, there's not really much I can play like to match it. So it's like, all right, if you're gonna, I'm gonna play my fucking Thassa's Oracle. I went on deck. It's not quite
Knock it
CDH,
down.
or I can bust out my Kinnan deck, and that'll hold its own. But yeah, that deck's fast. I don't know, it's fun. I like it. I've
Yeah.
played it a couple times.
The only deck so far I've got it's it's got 100% win rate at the minute, but that's not very much because I don't get to play it very much because everyone
Okay.
hates me. But the only deck that I've played against is my friend Mike's Marin deck
Hmm.
because he's just filled it with some of the most absolute win more fucking feel bad shit. He's just like blowing up my lands and stuff, and like every time I rebuild, he's killing everything out, making me sacrifice everything.
Oh
But
my God.
I can rebuild so fast that he's yet to top on me with that bad boy.
The Loop Spore Frog.
Oh my God, fucking frog! Yeah, he's looping that bad boy. What else is he looping? He was looping Terrastodon,
Oh
just
Jesus.
just getting rid of all my lands. I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah, people are usually pretty. I mean, I get it. Land denial kind of suck. I don't know. I think the way Commander is right now, like more people should
Mm.
probably play it. I know the
You should
only
definitely
time
have
I've
some.
go ahead.
Yeah, you should definitely have some targeted land removal these days.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, because like depending on your meta, but like Glacial Chasm, Field of the Dead, Boseiju, like all these utility lands are so
Yeah.
ubiquitous that like getting rid
Mm.
of them, got to.
Yeah. Just like you never know, like if you're playing against a goblin deck or like an Orvar the All form or something, like you want to get if they ever nick those down, you need to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
like
God.
that yeah. So having some target land removal is necessary. Mass land removal, sometimes, you know,
Depends on the
ouch,
deck.
but with my Rogue Rat deck, I can forgive it because I am being a bastard.
Yeah, I think I have like Okay, so one is like a meme deck. It's not even really that strong, but it does. It has the Myosian, the original Kamigawa, destroys all, but it's only if it gets destroyed. If it
Right.
doesn't, you just gotta let it for 7 damage. Um, and then I got a World Fire deck, but like that is built to like win the game after you play World Fire, so it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got to play that Chandra
Yeah, I like
first
decks
and
like
then
that
World
that have
Fire.
like decks that have the kind of loaded gun that you just kind of sit with it on the table and you
Yeah.
let it play out, but you're like, I could win at any moment. I'm just choosing not to pull the trigger on this right now. Um,
Yeah,
but
me and my friends play sometimes. It's like, hey man, like, how we feeling about this game? Like, do we want to end it soon, or we go for a couple more turns? Like, where are we at? And everybody's kind of like, if we
yeah,
want to end it, then it's like, cool, go balls to the wall. If everybody wants to play a little bit more, it's like, all right, I have like this kind of screw everybody over card. I'm not gonna play it. Let's just keep going. And like,
yeah.
it's been
I've
nice.
I love playing Golgari life gain. Like I have two decks that are just basically Golgari life gain. One of them is a Slimefoot the Stowaway
Hmm.
Mushroom Tribal, that kind of situation. And I have the it was the Strixhaven Precon, the Golgari one, the kind of life gainy one.
Yes.
So
Yeah, the Willow Dusk.
trying with a bloom something Willow Dusk Essence here. I have one that I've like modified to like within an inch of its life. It's just absolutely kitted out, and it doesn't take me very much to get into several hundred life with that deck. And sometimes I'll just have like an Aetherflux Reservoir in my hand, and I'm just
Oh
like,
God.
okay, how are you guys just like you? I'm gonna play something, and if you don't counter it, I'm gonna win. So like. You need to like let me know like do you want to keep playing or like what's going on? Like if the game's going like 2 hours or something and everyone's just starting to look at their
Yeah.
phones, it's like, okay, I'm gonna drop this and just nuke some people and shuffle up.
It's been a while since I've had a game that long, but there was one point, probably about a year ago, I was playing my Light Paws deck, and the game had been going for like 4 hours, and I was
Jeez.
about to finish it, and somebody goes to kill and wipe the board at the same time. I was like, please don't do that right now, because if you do, this game's gonna go another 2 hours. If you just don't
Yeah.
do, I know it sucks. I'm about to win. I can win this game, and we'll be done. And they were like, okay, I'll let you in. Because it was like everybody was just done at that
Yeah.
point. I was like, I had a fucking Eldrazi conscription in my hand. I was about to wipe everybody off the face of the earth. It was fine. But that game was so long because they could not stop light pause, and I just kept coming and like murdering everybody. But it wasn't enough to like get everybody out of the
Mm.
game. And I think we were playing with 5 people, so that's why it was just 3 or 2.
Yeah. I've kind of made a deal with myself that I don't play games with more than four people these days because it just goes so long.
It does.
And it's so difficult to keep track of everyone's stuff. Like there's so like it's so easy to misplay with the five or a plus person pod. And sometimes like it's all funny games at the start, but yeah, when you're like 2 or 3 hours in, you have moments where you're just like, why are we even fucking playing this game? Like I
Yeah.
could be doing so much more better stuff.
Especially when you just like keep hitting lands and nothing else to play. It's like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
well,
You're waiting waiting like 40 minutes for your turn and you
yeah.
get it and it's just cool. Well, I don't have another land. I'll just swing for one past turn.
So as far as Thoughtseize and when did you kind of start like writing the material for it? After Hamish came about like wanting to start a band and that kind of idea
Yeah.
formed.
So like he came to me and was like, I want to start this band. I was like, okay, here's my parameters, blah blah blah. Like we had a logo um and which was on this poster before we'd even got into a practice room together. So we were putting all our chips on the table. Like we had to fucking get something together. I maybe wrote like three songs just in my bedroom. I wrote Damnation, Utter End, and Omnath, Locus of Creation.
Nice.
And in our first practice, I showed it to him. We figured it out. We got it, and we just like got it down. And then every single practice since then, like after that, we just wrote another song. So then it was like Anguish Done Making, and then like the next practice, it was like Sword of Feast of Famine. We just hit the betrays, blah blah blah. So just knocking them out, knocking them out. But we maybe had like 10 practices before the gig happened,
Oh
and
wow.
every practice we were writing a new song. So like we had written a song kind of the day before we ended up playing that show. Like, but we knew we had it because the songs aren't difficult. They're just it's more of just like the energy had to be right, and it worked out, you know. But so it all came together really really fast. It's just taken us 2 years to finally get our album out.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure, you probably have day job like I do, like,
Yeah, yeah,
trying to
yeah.
like balance that shit with playing in a bunch of bands. I can imagine it takes up a lot of time. So, and trying to
Yeah.
get well, not getting your name out there, but just building up to like be able to record and everything is so much fucking time.
And we were like, we had all these plans to record and just like kept falling through just because, yeah, like I'd be like, okay, well, shit, I need to go on the road. I need to tour with another band. It was like, oh shit, now you have to go and tour with another band, or like, oh, now it's Christmas time. Oh shit, okay, and in the new year, oh shit, now you have to do this, you have to do this. It was constantly just like, okay, we'll play this one more show and then we'll just focus on getting in the studio. But we just said like, no more, fuck it, let's get it down. So instead of like booking out going to like a studio and like trying to raise money to go there, Dan, our bass player, he works in the local university in Penryn,
Oh, nice.
which has this huge. He works in the music department, like helps maintain and like give out all the equipment to the students and stuff. And um, Simon, the drummer from Electric Wizard, also worked at that university as a
Oh shit.
lecturer, which is yeah. So it was like it's a cool place to work. But he had access to all these microphones and a space and like nice equipment and stuff. And my friend Jimmers, who plays drums in an amazing hardcore band called F Emasculata, who
Okay.
were like an X-Files themed hardcore band who we're going on tour with in about 10 days or so. He's a great just kind of independent producer. So he just brought his laptop in, used all university mics, and we recorded it in about 6 hours because we were so tight at this point that we just lived it and did it all
Oh
fairly
shit.
quick, which I guess is a plus side to having like 2 years worth of practice before actually getting down and recording stuff. But we just did it all kind of DIY, and then 2 weeks later I did the vocals in like 2 hours in my friend Rue, in his garage. He has like a little makeshift studio in his like garage. Just did the vocals there, and then like literally like a few days later it was mixed and mastered, done. So as much of a ball ache as it was to get the ball rolling, it all came together really really quick.
Yeah, I like the fact that you guys recorded it like, with like everybody there, like doing everything at once. A lot of them don't do that anymore. It's all just like guitar
Yeah,
player, drummer goes in, and then just piece everything together. Which I get. Like that's if that's what
yeah,
works and you got the money and the time, fucking do it. But there is
yeah,
something about that recording when everybody's in the same room that captures a rawness to it that I fucking love.
for sure. And yeah, I love, bands that like take a couple months to really meticulously put stuff together.
Yeah.
Like when you look at how like Eric Rutan records Cannibal Corpse and stuff, it's like everything is like they do it a million times. And that's why it sounds so precise and sharp and awesome. But like Thoughtseize is, you know, we're death metal, but we're not death metal in the same way that a lot of death metal bands are. We're pretty crusty,
Hmm.
kind of thrashy, kind of blackened. We don't even use like Hamish doesn't even use double kicks. It's all really, old school and kind of punk.
Yeah.
So we knew we needed to keep it live. We wanted to, so we just had like guitar in one room, bass in another room, drum in one room, but we all played in the same room with the drummer, and we just fucking ripped through it. Did a couple takes, that one sounds good, cool, move on.
Yeah, because you're in a bunch of different bands, kind of settling on this specific sound for this band, kind of that Swedish death metal, old school 80s, 90s sound.
Mm. I fucking love Black Breath.
Yeah, man, I
Like
miss that band.
Black Breath are like one of the to me they're a perfect metal band. Like in my taste, like when I listen to metal, that's what I want. And obviously they're not a band anymore. Rest in peace, Elijah. Um, but I was like, without literally just ripping them off, I was like, I really want to capture that kind of like the kind of sound that Kurt Blue had got for them on their records.
Hmm.
Just something that sounded like a razor blade, but also a swamp at the same time. Um, and there's not a lot of bands in the West UK where we are that kind of uses the kind of that HM2 Swedish sword tone.
Yeah.
So I just thought we'd just stand out and kind of do something that was in tribute to Black Breath and Entombed and stuff like that. Just make it sound raw and really mean. I wanted it to be evil, and I wanted when people saw us play live, I wanted them to like feel it in their stomach and feel like nauseated by it. I didn't want them to think like, "Oh, that sounds great." I wanted them to be like, "Fucking hell, that sounds fucking disgusting." Like that's what I want. Um, so I don't even play through. I have you don't see because I've got my background on, but I've got like a stack of Marshalls behind me. But I play through an old PA system,
Okay.
like a PV PA, because it's just like a really loud, clean channel with loads of low end that I can just put the HM2 through, and it just sounds like a fucking train.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, that's just keep it simple and disgusting. So that's kind of what I wanted.
Do you haul all that gear around? Like, is that your gear for live shows and everything, or is that just for your like practice?
Oh, live, and practice. It's not that heavy like the PV. It's because there's no tubes in it. It's all old solid state.
Oh,
It's
okay.
big. It's big, but it's not super heavy. It's more just awkward because it is so large and the handle's so crap. Um, but I'll go for like a 412 guitar cab and like a 410 bass cab. Go for the PA. So and then it just sounds so mean.
Okay, that makes more sense now. I was thinking it was just like a giant ass, like full on PA or
Oh, that
something
would
like
be
that.
incredible.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. But, I'm not. That would be insane. Imagine like yeah, showing up to a show and like bringing your own separate PA just for the guitar.
Yeah.
What a
Like, hey
dick.
man, this is what I'm playing through tonight. Got room for it?
Yeah, all the bands are going for like quad cortex and like fractals, like tiny little boxes, and I'm bringing like an entire sound system.
So, what is your guitar of choice as far as like playing and recording?
So I use this. Have you ever heard of the guitar company Bolt?
I have not.
It's Boult. They're
Okay.
kind of infamous now. It was this guy who was kind of making these really simple metal and they're kind of made for sludge bands. They'd be like RD shapes or like Explorers or Flying V shapes, but
Okay.
like one pickup, one knob, and it'd all be like silver burst or black or like gold burst or something. And he was getting them manufactured in China really, really cheap, so you could buy them for like £200, $200. And a few bands started using them. Like I think he kind of gave out endorsements, sending free guitars to bands like Monolord and stuff like that. They were using them for a while, but
Okay.
he had so many orders that he couldn't keep up with them, and he kind of just stopped sending out guitars but taking orders. So it kind of became this
Damn.
kind of scam that a lot of people were angry about, and the quality wasn't great. But that's because it was a cheap guitar. But long story short, I have this Silver Burst Bolt RD
Hmm.
that I my friend Jono kitted out with a really nice pickup, and he like put like locking tuners and like new electrics and stuff. And it's this terrible body, but it it's mean and it looks really cool. So I was using that. That's what I've been using for most of the time. And when I recorded, it was that and a Les Paul Custom. But
Hmm.
I've just started using an Explorer, a Silver Burst, some kind of Gibson Explorer, and I only really have it because it looks cool. Like, I was like, I just want to look like James Hetfield if he like weighed like 300 pounds.
Yeah, I bought a kind of a cheap guitar that I had planned on like doing some upgrades like that, getting like locking tuners and stuff and different pickups. But I haven't had time or money to do it, so it's still stock and it sounds actually surprisingly so, but it just it's a cheap guitar. It's like $200, so it wasn't like that great.
What kind of guitar is it?
It was a Harley Benton baritone, like their
Mm.
J whatever the fuck it is.
Harley Bentons, man, they make some good stuff. Like
Yeah,
it's
no complaints for sure. But I just thought I was
yeah,
like, yeah, I could like put some better stuff in here because I got a seven string too, and that's already got like EMGs and everything. I don't need to do anything else to that. But I figured like I wanted a baritone guitar. That was the main thing. So I was like, that's the
yeah,
cheapest one I'm gonna get. I can't spend like $700-800 on a guitar right now.
yeah. And there's definitely like I'm a firm believer in the law of diminishing returns. Like I
Hmm.
think at a certain point you're not going to get a better guitar at like a certain price point. To me, that's like £800 or £900. I think everything or dollars, anything over that, I feel like the guitar is the same thing. It's just whether or not it's got a fancy logo on it
Yeah,
or not. Like I feel like if you had a $900 ESP, it would probably play the same, if not better, than like a $5,000 Gibson. It's just
yeah.
that one is like wearing a Rolex and one is like wearing a fucking, Casio or something. Tells the time just the same, but like one makes you look like you're a dentist or something.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, as long as I've been playing guitar, I am mediocre as fuck. Don't need anything like crazy expensive because I wouldn't even know what to do with it in the first place.
Yeah. I've been down that path of, and I guess I am with my Explorer, but like I've had Gibsons and USA Fenders and stuff, and but I tour so much that they just get fucking destroyed.
Hmm.
And every like 4 years or so, I get a new itch where I need to have like a new number one instrument that I just play into the ground, and then I'll
That's
just put
probably
it
the
into
way
a
to do it.
case. Yeah, and I'll put it into a case. I'll pull out something old and I'll get it looked at, and then I'll play that for a bit and kind of stir up some new creative juices, and then I'll like after a few years I'll put it back and stuff. So, well, all my guitars are fairly inexpensive apart from a few, but
Yeah, mine are. I think the most I ever spent on a guitar, and I unfortunately had to sell it, but I think I spent like $600. Yeah, about $600 on it. It was like a seven string, neon green. I went like way too far with it.
whoa,
I was like, I didn't even know what the fuck to do with it, and
yeah,
yeah, I ended up selling it because I had to pay rent. I was like, yeah, I don't need this thing. Just buy something cheap.
yeah. I've done that before. Well, I had a really
Yeah.
nice Strat that I sold, and it just like every now and then I see a picture of me, like a live picture of me playing it, and I'm like, oh man, I miss it. But it's funny because I'm like a bass player first. I play bass before I played guitar, and I
Hmm.
play bass in the bands Helpless and Monolithian, and like with that band I have like a custom shop bass, and I go all out. But then with guitar I like it nice and cheap and cheerful. But I actually have a first act Delgado that belonged to Jeff Matz from High on Fire.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he used it to record Snakes of the Divine, and then that's all he used it for. And then I bought it.
How'd you
So
manage that?
just the guy John McGuire who used to run the First Act Custom Shop and also worked for Gibson Cubs Custom Shop, who now just builds guitars for Matt Pike exclusively.
Okay.
Um, I think Jeff had like given it back to John to like sell, and he had like put it on eBay. And I was literally just about to buy a vintage like Gibson Ripper bass, but then I saw that pop up, and that was kind of a dream bass of mine. And I was kind of bidding on it and bidding on it, and I got outbid and I lost it. And I was like, fuck. And then literally the next day, I got an email from John McGuire being like, "Hey, do you still want this bass?" The guy who bought it like totally flaked out on me. And I was like, "Absolutely," and just sent him the cash.
Damn. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
can imagine owning an original instrument from somebody. Actually, my the band I used to work for, their guitar sell one of his guitars recently, and I thought about hitting him up for it, but I don't need another guitar, so I didn't do it. I
Yeah.
like that'd be cool to own that. Like it's my buddy's guitar, but yeah, That'd be really rad to own something.
It's every now and then I'll like with Monolithian, who I the sort of doom band that I play with, like we'll play a show. Um, like when we played with the band Acid King, the
Hmm.
the the bassist and the drummer in Acid King are also the members of the band Black Cobra, and Black Cobra have obviously toured with High on Fire and whatnot. So they recognized it and were like taking pictures of it, going like, Jeff, look what we found. We found your fucking bass, and it's just me holding it like, eh. And then I played with Zeke, who Jeff used to play in Zeke, and like the new bassist in Zeke recognized the bass and like was also like taking like showing Jeff like, look at this dude. It's just like every now and then like, he's pretty sick of hearing about it now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's pretty sick. He's sick of getting texts from his buddies. Like the guy, I sold that bass. I don't care about it anymore. Get it away from me.
So I'm really curious. I was only able to go to England once back in like 20 for like a small run of shows with the band that I was working with, and we played with a few local bands like during that run. But I'm curious what the local scene is like nowadays.
Whereabouts did you
2011, which
play?
was we played Plymouth at the White Rabbit.
That's 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 our that's like where we played the other day. Not the White Rabbit, but that venue's no longer a venue anymore.
Oh
But
shit,
Plymouth is like our local area.
that's awesome. Yeah, this was
Yeah.
March of 2011. Yeah, or no,
What band was
May.
this with? Sorry.
I was working for Carnifex at the time.
No way.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
yeah. Yeah, let's see. Plymouth, London, Manchester, and Birmingham. Those were the shows we did.
Whereabouts in London?
It was at Underworld.
Ah, brilliant venue.
Yeah, it's sad. I don't remember a lot of that stuff. I don't know, like my
Oh,
memory's
wow.
gotten so bad as I've been getting older and like
It
honestly,
was like
like
14 years ago.
yeah. Well, I know it's gonna sound weird not to get too conspiratorial, but like I got COVID and I noticed myself every time after I got COVID just feeling just mentally not able to focus and remember stuff more. It's
Yeah.
so strange. I don't, people are so weird talking about that shit, but
Well, no, I've got a few really close friends that are suffering from like long COVID symptoms, and it's the same thing, just like
yeah.
total mind fog. Like it just fucked them, you know.
Yeah, and I never used to be that way. I used to have a memory of a fucking elephant. Like I could probably like 5, 6 years ago looked at that poster and remembered like every single thing we did, and now it's like,
Mm.
what did we do? But yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, uh, so what's like the local scene like there now? Because it's been a long time, and I know we played with some cool. None of them are even together anymore, barely.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to answer because where I'm from in Cornwall, the scene is um it's kind of split. Like I play a lot of the punk and hardcore shows, even with
Hmm.
Thoughtsieze, just because that's where like a lot of like kind of political ideologies kind of lay.
Yeah.
Um, and so I feel like a lot of the metal shows and the punk shows don't really intermingle that much. Luckily, they are now with we've got kind of a mixture of both coming to our shows, which is like sick. But so I feel really disjointed from the metal scene.
Okay.
There's loads of great bands around the country, but I feel like I couldn't really name a lot of them because I'm so entrenched in the sort of like hardcore and like grindcore.
Yeah.
But there's like to shout out a few bands, like metal bands that I know that I really like that I played with my band Helpless. There's like Hollow Blessings in Cardiff, and oh god, now I'm drawing a blank and they're all going to hate me. Um, I'm like losing all of it.
It's okay.
I'll come
It
back to it. But
happens.
there's some great bands. But in Cornwall there's and in Plymouth there's like War Crab, who are a great band. Um Emasculato, who are like more of like a hardcore band. Things like that. It's it's a good community, but I do feel like yeah, it's so that was all completely jumbled up as I was trying to remember
Yeah.
things. So ignore that bit. But what I would say is, yeah, the communities are kind of not connected in a way that I feel like they need to intermingle more. which is a shame.
Interesting. So it's pretty divided, you would say, just like everybody's kind
Yeah,
of
I
in
would
their own
say
little
so.
square or whatever.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
I think it's because a lot of like the hardcore and the punk bands and the grindcore bands and stuff, they'll play like floor shows in tiny dive bars or like in venues, but like not on the stage, like on the floor. And a
Hmm.
lot of their shows will be like fundraisers or whatever. And I feel like a lot of metal bands, they want to be on a stage and they want to have like nice equipment and shit like that. And so you don't really see a lot of those kind of scenes mixing because it's a different kind of vibe.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like the DIY. We used to have a place where I live around here where it was literally a basement in some dude's house, and that
Yeah,
was like where all the shows were. And like, it was called Antarctica. I don't know
no way.
why, but
Yeah,
that's what it was
they used
called.
to. There's a band from Brighton, an amazing band called Wallowing. I really highly recommend checking them out. They're kind of thematical. Like they have this, their albums follow a story, and
Oh, sick.
they have graphic novels and like interactive websites and stuff and action figures, and they make props for their story, and they wear like these costumes, but it's like really intense, very heavy, kind of sludge metal, kind of in like the vein of Primitive Man. But they're from Brighton, and Tom and a bunch of the other members, they used to have bands come and play their kitchen. Um, and it was they couldn't do any more when they moved out, but like quite big bands like Venom Prison and stuff like that would like
Oh
play their
shit.
fucking kitchen.
Yeah.
Um, Mad shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like in the mid thousands. I kind of remember like when I was like kind of involved a little more with the local scene. That was a very big thing that would happen a lot. Is you would just throw a house show, or like you
Yeah.
would borrow somebody's garage and be like, "Hey, let's just pack 30 people in here and like see what happens."
Yeah. It's kind of hard to do that in the UK because our houses are just kind of different. Like
Yep.
the time I've spent in the US, I've only really been to North Carolina, but I noticed that a lot of people's like, unless you're in like the city and everyone's living in like
Stacked.
apartments or whatever, but then you'd have like your house and you'd have a bit of land around your house and then to be another house and it would look kind of different because it was
Hmm.
built probably by a different person or like, oh, this house was ordered from Sears or whatever. So everyone's got like their house and they're not connected. But in like the UK, everything is kind of connected, like terraced.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to put on house shows because you got neighbors from all angles. It's like kind of difficult. And if you do have a house that could facilitate that, it's going to be really hard to travel to because our
It's
public
probably in the
transport
middle of
isn't very
nowhere.
good. So it's kind of rare to find a really good house show.
Damn. Yeah, I guess it is country to country. I can imagine like a different thing that probably doesn't even exist. Like I can imagine Japan has house shows.
Oh yeah.
But who knows? I mean, I'm not up with what's going on in Japan.
I'm sure the Japan are fucking, they're some gnarly motherfuckers, dude. When it comes to like grindcore and shit,
Yeah,
they do
that
not
band
fuck about.
Coffins from there is pretty sick. They're like a doomy, sludgy death metal band. I think they just put out something last year, I believe.
Yeah,
Remember?
I had
Sounds right.
not to name drop, but I had Barney from Napalm Death on my podcast a year or so ago.
Nice.
And he was just talking about all the Japanese grindcore bands. He fucking loves that shit.
Yeah, those guys. That's I mean that's one of the bands that kind of what I was talking about earlier that I feel like influenced so much other shit. And not that we stole, but they're the bands here that kind of like you can tell that they were influenced by a lot of what Napalm Death because they were I mean like what 80 yeah 1980 81 around there
Mm,
yeah
yeah, something
so
like that.
early yeah that's one thing I like looking at the history of the genre and like how everything's kind of progressed over the years. It's like it seems like not a long time, but I mean, it's been like what, the 1970s? And if you look at where we're at now, things have progressed so much in such a short amount of time and like it's still doing it. Every so often, man, we get a band and it just kind of changes things and you're like, "Holy shit, I wouldn't have expected that."
Yeah, Like God, what's the band? Is Blood Incantation? Like listening to their latest record, and it's like death metal mixed with Pink Floyd. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? This is amazing.
I know.
Like I haven't heard anything like that since like Atheist or something, you know?
Yeah, holy shit. Yeah, atheist. Yeah, me and my friends do like a every 6 months, like best of like whatever's coming out in the year. And when we did our best of for like the end of the year, this was like all into the Incantation album, and I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not my thing. I'm not saying it's bad because I definitely incredible musicianship that went into that record and how it sounds, but it doesn't do anything for me. I don't know. I just find it weird. That's just my stupid ass opinion.
no, it's not a stupid opinion. I like it's pretty hard to it, it's already a difficult genre to grasp anyway, and then having a difficult album within that genre, it's like,
Yeah.
they don't make it easy for you. But I think if you're prepared to kind of just like let it take you, then you can enjoy it. But yeah, there's definitely moments where I was like, I need to pause this for a bit.
Yeah, they are pretty long too, which leads into
Yeah.
the Pink Floyd influence for sure. But I mean, even then, like I appreciate them taking that crazy ass kind of step to like meld those two things together because like there aren't very
Mm,
many bands that would try that at all, especially in the metal
yeah.
scene.
And then you get like bands like Sleep Token,
Hmm.
which, I've kind of verged out of it to the point where, some people would even be like, is this even really a metal band anymore? Despite the fact that, they have bits that are heavy, but like I get told constantly that this band is amazing, and I don't get it.
I don't either. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
you know,
firmly in the camp that they are not a metal band. I don't know. I don't. I've listened to
yeah,
it a few times, and like I can see why they're popular, but I'm just I'm not understanding it. So it's like
yeah.
for
I
those
think
people that
people
enjoy it,
people
that's fine.
love the lore,
Yeah,
they love the story. As well, like I think Ghost got so popular so quickly because people could kind of latch on to the mystery, or it's almost like
until there was
listening
none.
to, yeah, listening to music, but also it's a film at the same time. Or I feel like a lot of people that are super into Sleep Token are the kind of people that are super into like anime or certain book series or something. Like they want to have a character that they can like draw pictures of and dress up like, and you know,
It's true. I do see when people go to those shows, they do tend to like dress up and like it's almost like a weird little fashion show in a way.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of neat, I
and like
guess.
more power to them. Like if there's anything in this world that makes you feel any kind of happiness and can distract you from the shit going on,
Yeah,
embrace it.
yeah,
That's me with cardboard. That's me with
yeah, yeah.
magic.
Same, man. Jesus, it consumes so much of my life. Like I got a fucking stack of cards here that I'm trying to put in decks, and I'm like, well, that'll be for
I have
another
a I
day
have a
off.
giant pile here that's just
Nice.
from a Japanese Dominaria United collector booster box that I got just looking for a Shieldred. Didn't get one, but it's fine.
Oof. I, you know what's funny? I also didn't get a Shieldred, but I bought one. I bought the Phyrexian one when it had just come out, and it was still pretty expensive. It was like dollars, and I was like, ah, man, I shouldn't spend $60 on this card, but I did it anyways. I had a good job at that time, so it was to $80, and it really hasn't dropped at all since then. So I've been like, you know what,
Yeah,
spending $60 on that wasn't that bad of an idea, and I only need one. I don't need four. Like if I was playing standard or something, like,
yeah.
and it,
And this is
it
the
was fine.
this is the magic math that we make. You know,
Yeah. Oh my
if you
God.
buy a booster box for like $120, and you pull the one card that you wanted that's like a $40 card, you made money because you didn't have to spend money. You didn't have to spend $40 on this one card because you pulled it from a pack. And look at all these other extra cards that you have that you can play with that are
Oh
definitely not
man.
going to go into a giant pile into a box in your closet. You know.
I'm sitting on 10,000 cards right now that I've been trying to sell off to various like websites, that like take all that stuff, and I've been having
Yeah.
so many issues with these websites not the file that they say that they take. It's been this whole ordeal, and I'm just like, I want to get rid of these cards so I can buy new cards. I don't need
Yeah.
10,000 cards just doing nothing that I'm never gonna play.
I did something very similar recently. Luckily, with the guy who's in my kind of regular pod, Will, shout out Will and G and Scott, that he lives across the road from me. But like, I sell singles on eBay, but he sells singles on Card Market,
Okay,
and so
I'm
he'll sell
jealous you
like
guys got.
the penny cards. Um, but he bought all of my bulk from me. Um, so I just had to walk it across the road because he was just, selling them on Card Market. But he actually traded, I traded all my bulk for like 4 or 5 copies of the Hydra Secret Layer
Oh, nice.
because he like bought a bunch of them, and then I just sold them on my eBay and got money back from that. So that's
That's
pretty
a good
lucky. I don't
trade.
have too much bulk, but I still have quite a lot. Not 10,000 at least, Jesus Christ.
It's built up from the past 5 years that I've been playing because I rarely sell cards or like try to get rid of them. So I've just been sitting on all this stuff, and I was like, finally, like, okay, there's a bunch of cards that I haven't bought in a while, and I want to buy some new stuff and like upgrade some decks and all that. And I figured, okay, I'll take the time, scan all this, and I spent 4 days scanning 4 days. And then like it's been 2 weeks of this ordeal of like trying to get these files uploaded to these websites and like emailing with
Fucking
the
hell.
IT people, and they're like, we don't know. I'm like, what the fuck? I just
Jesus
want to sell
Christ.
you my cards.
What's
That's
the
part of the
most
game.
expensive card you've ever owned?
So before I lost my last job, which was a great paying job, I got a bonus and like got my deposit back from an apartment that I moved out of. So, and I also had $200 in credit saved up in my LGS. So I went and I bought a From the Vault Mox Diamond for $500, I believe.
Still
That's the
got it?
most. Yeah, oh yeah. I'm not getting rid of that thing. So that's the most expensive card I own.
Yeah, I no longer have it, but when I used to manage a game store, and we were a VIP LGS for Magic,
Oh yeah.
But when you're a VIP store, they send you promos that you don't get anywhere else. And what was it? I was on. I was invited to this Zoom call to kind of look at Kamigawa Neon Dynasty before it came out to
Oh
sort
shit.
of just to see it and to see the set and to understand the mechanics so that I could better sell it in my store, the store I managed. And for being on that Zoom call, they sent me a Neon Ink Hidetsugu promo as like a present,
Thank you.
and I had it for a while, and then I did sell it. I didn't realize how much it was worth until I like looked it up randomly, and it was going for like $700+. So
Oh
I
man.
did sell that card just because I was like, you know what, I could probably use $700 more than this card I'm not going to
Yeah.
play. And since then, it's dropped significantly because it was the green one.
Okay. Yep.
Um, the red one is the one everyone wants, but because when other LGSs started getting the green promo sporadically over the next few months, it was being sold more and more. But because I sold mine kind of early on, I managed to get a good amount of money for it, and I feel bad for the guy in New York who bought it from me.
Sometimes, man, I was gonna say I knew that those versions went down quite a bit after they came out.
Mm,
Just because the card is like meh, like as far as playing it. I built a deck around it once and it was, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't need like a special version of it, like
yeah,
especially
yeah,
for $3,000. The red for at one point, like
yeah.
no thanks.
It's crazy. But it's like when Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow came out,
Mhm.
they sent me like piles of these lands. They were called like the moonlit lands. They were like
Oh yeah.
the yeah, like the Innistrad lands, but they were like Innistrad,
Silver,
but they were
right?
all silvered out and shiny. But they sent me so many of them. I was like, these can't be special because I've been sent so many of them. So I had like entire decks where the entire land base was these moonlit lands, only to then realize they were like going for like $15 to $20 each.
Yep.
Um, and I was like, well, I don't need them that much.
Yeah, it's always funny when you find a card that you don't realize it's worth a lot, and then like something happens, and you're like, that thing is worth that much? Like, what the hell?
Mm,
What made that happen? It's
yeah.
always a delicate. So at least we're not as bad as Pokemon. I will say that.
Oh,
Like
dude.
Pokemon is out
Yeah,
of
yeah.
fucking hand. I'm not like really in that world, but I kind of going on with it with like the scalping and like how much those cards go for, and I'm just like, thank God Magic is not there yet. It will never get
Yeah.
there.
It's on its way with like, all the serialized and stuff like that stuff's getting
Yeah.
crazy. But still, like I feel like with Pokemon, it's all about grading as well. Like no one cares unless it's been graded, and you just see people trading all these like graded slabs, and it's like, play with it, man, play with it.
Yeah.
It's like it's these are game pieces. These are toys. Let's have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, you see a small contingent of that in Magic, but like nowhere near as much as Pokemon. It's like,
Yeah,
should I grade? I don't know, man. Like, do you want to play with it? Like, just play with it. It's a card. It's what it's meant for.
yeah.
It's not like a you have to
Controversial
hoard it.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your opinion on proxies?
Personally, I don't like them. That's just me. I I think that it skews the deck power too much because every time I've ever seen somebody build a proxy deck, the most ridiculous cards in it imaginable. It's full of dual
Yeah,
lands, like time
Gaia's Cradles.
twisters, guys cradles. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like I get it. It sucks being priced out of that stuff because stupid in the '90s that half of us weren't even around for, and I get wanting to play with those cards because they are strong, but there's like a time and a place. And if we were
yeah,
all, if actually let's put it this way: if I were to sit down and somebody was like, "Hey, I have these proxy decks and they're all crazy, powerful, full of a legacy deck or something like that," I'd be like, "Okay, I'll play that just to see what it's like." Because I'm sure it's probably crazy and fun, and getting to see what these cards do
mm,
is awesome. But for like my games and like how me and my friends play, like we don't need those. I don't need duels. I don't need. I have a Mox Diamond that's like the crazy. No, I actually have one of those gold bordered guy cradles too. I
oh,
found it
yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah.
$20 somewhere, like a long time ago.
That's what's up.
So
Yeah, yeah,
I guess that is technically a proxy, but the way I look at it, Wizards made it and they put it out, so it's like
yeah,
it's still a real card. I didn't print it off on my printer. Um, but I'm not gonna not play with somebody if it's just a couple cards. You know what I mean? But if your whole deck is
yeah,
like some busted piece of shit, like no man, I'm not
yeah.
wasting my time.
I'm not down for like whole decks. I do have proxies. Some
Mhm.
I like a lot of my proxies will be of things that like I own, but like I don't want to own like multiple versions of because
Yeah,
I don't want to buy like 5 copies of Damnation because I love playing black, or Ristic Studies or whatever. But like I've always thought of it as like I think that everyone should have kind of access to play the game at whatever level they want, if it's on like their kitchen table or around their friends or whatever. But I think if you were to go into like a game store and like totally pub stomp someone with like just the craziest, CDH deck that you've just proxied out, I think, that's where you draw the line. Um,
exactly.
but yeah,
Yeah, I've ran into that a couple times. Like, it's you playing with a bunch of random people and they're like, "Oh, I have this deck and it's proxied." I'm like, "Okay, can I look through it?" And then you see you just, like, man, who did I? Oh, it's an egg I played against, and it was just all proxied. And I
mm,
was just like, "Dude, you have like the shit in here. Like, this isn't gonna be fun to play against." And sure enough, it was not fun to play against because he was just like
yeah,
comboing off on like turn 5 or 6 or whatever. Four, I don't know. It was a long time ago, but I was just like, yeah, I can't do that. I don't know. To me
yeah.
personally, but no shade. I get it. It's an expensive game, and like nobody should be priced out if they want to play. Like it's fun. but that's
Yeah, for sure.
it's
And
a touchy
there was this
subject.
guy that used to come into the game store when I was working there, and he he was one of those deck builders that had, did the whole challenge where he had one of every single color and color combination or whatever. But I
Yeah, I
remember
do
him, he
have
had
that.
this yeah, yeah. He had like a Chatterfang Squirrels deck, and he was like, "Well,
Mm.
it's all proxies because I wanted every card to have squirrels in it, even like the stuff that I wouldn't have squirrels in it." And then he starts playing it, and then he's putting down like, yeah, like dual lands and guys' cradles and lion's eye diamonds and stuff. And I'm just
Oh,
like,
no,
dude, you don't need all that in a squirrel deck, and you're
no.
beating everyone on in like no turn, so you're not even really getting to play a lot of your deck that you've meticulously AI arted all these squirrels into. Um, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's I don't know. My whole thing is they should just abolish the reserve list. I don't care about these cards retaining monetary value, but obviously there's a
Yeah,
huge subsect of people that do, and that's why Commander is in the place that it's in because those little babies couldn't handle their mana crypts not being worth money, and that whole ordeal was embarrassing, man. I'm sure a
yeah,
lot of people listening to this are like, "What the fuck are they talking about? What is going?"
yeah. It was
But that's
just
fine.
disappointing to see like people from the CAG, or the Commander Advisory uh, group, whatever, um, just being like sent death threats because all of a sudden your $60
Piece of
Dockside
paper.
Extortionist is now only worth $30. It's like, dude, if you're that invested financially into cardboard, like, get a better hobby because like this is
Yeah.
not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and like
And yeah,
I
it
even had
sucks
a
to
few of
buy
those
things that you
cards.
can't play with, but like, come on now.
Yeah. It's just a piece of paper. You don't need to threaten somebody's life over a fucking piece of paper. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's even now with like the brackets, I'm not like super stoked with where they're going with it. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and there's still a lot of power because people aren't understanding what they're trying to do with it. But
yeah,
I don't have to worry about that too much because I have like a regular group that I play with, and we're all like, "Fuck the brackets." We just
yeah,
play with
same.
what we play with, you know?
Yeah, the pod that I play with, we know what decks we have,
Yeah.
and we know which ones are the same strength. So we just play with each other, and that's the fun part of it all. And if I go to a local game store and I play with people that I don't know, you just talk to them and say, "Hey, this deck has this in it. This has this and this and this. This one has a combo. This one has like a two card infinite." And they're like, "Oh, I don't like that." I'll be like, "Okay, cool. I'll get on my precon. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's conversations. Just communicate and don't be a dick."
Yeah, I mean, maybe you wouldn't be surprised because you play as long as I have, but sometimes, man, people just aren't socially i- inept enough to like want to have those conversations where they're just like, "No, I'm playing this deck. I don't care." It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, okay, well, that's fine."
Well, I choose not to. I can just choose not to play with you then. You know?
I was meeting up with this one group for a little while, and it was fine at first, and after a while, the games started to become more imbalanced. And the one that like made me stop playing with them is somebody had a Krenko deck, and I was
Right.
like, You need to kill Krenko like as soon as he hits the board." I was telling everybody that, and so the Krenko player was targeting, or the other players at the board were targeting everybody. Krenko player, and I was like, "Why are you doing that? Stop control the board." And then this show came out, like that was it. Like we couldn't do anything, and I was like, "Cool, we just wasted I don't know 20 minutes for nothing." Combo off and kill the table on turn 4 when I was like, "You
Yeah.
need to kill the Krenko as soon as it hits the board." But no, you're killing my uh, 1/1 insect token that has death touch. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's there's such a difficult line that I think a lot of people that play the game um have struggled with, which is like threat assessment is not mean. Like
Mm-mm.
if
Shouldn't
I'm
be.
like taking out your, let's say you're playing with like a um like coma or something, if I'm like continuously countering and killing your coma, it's not because I'm trying to bully you out of the game. It's because as soon as coma is played, it's like you are now controlling the game,
Yeah.
and if I have the pieces to stop that from happening, like that's how you play the game. But I think some people are just like, why are you targeting me? Why are you picking on me? It's like I'm not. I'm playing this. Like we're
No.
all playing the same game.
Yeah, I have times where I'm like, when something gets removed, and I'm like, yeah, that was the right call. You definitely should have got rid of that because otherwise
Yeah,
this would have happened. Or, just we're all pretty open, like the people I play with, what we want to get rid of on the board, or like what,
yeah,
like focusing somebody down entirely that isn't really even doing anything. But
yeah.
that's the nice part about having a regular play group.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like if I tried to play a Bolas Citadel and someone counters that, I'm like, dude, that was the best decision you could have made because I was about to win. You know?
Yeah, I've been also dip my toes in the MTG content creator space, and I've been like doing deck techs occasionally, just because I like editing, so I can edit that shit together like fairly quickly and like make it interesting. But yeah, it's been hard because like I don't really know what people are looking for. They're so diverse.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'll do a deck tech people will want to see. It's no views, and then I'll do one of my personal decks that's like crazy busted and like probably shouldn't be played in casual settings, and it gets like 2,000 views, and I'm like, what the fuck? What did? How did
yeah.
that even happen?
You know, you
It's
should do a series where you find people in metal bands that play Magic like me, or if you can reach out to the guys in Frozen Soul. I know you
yeah.
already spoke to the guys in Hubris Cannon. Shout out to
Hmm.
Hubris Cannon, what a band! And just have them bring in their like pet decks and do like little deck techs of guys in bands decks.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about like how I want to branch out once I hit like a certain number of follows, because it's still pretty, it's weird, man. Like I'll have videos that get like over 1,000 views, but I only have like 150 followers on that YouTube page.
Mm,
I understand YouTube in general. I'm kind of old, because even with the metal podcasts, like I get like barely any views on a lot of stuff on YouTube, but when I go look at my Spotify, it's like triple or even, I mean, way higher than anything on
yeah.
YouTube. But it's like, I don't know, man. It's so way more views on my Magic channel with less followers than I do on this podcast.
Yeah,
And I don't, I
yeah,
never
the
post about
algorithm's
it
crazy.
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they care about like in the length of the video and like how often you post and this. I don't know. I have no idea how to dance around it, but it's
I don't either.
yeah,
It's crazy.
it's crazy. But then like I'll um with my podcast and stuff because it automatically uploads to my YouTube channel and it just posts them. Like I don't share that at all. It just does it anyway. Like my podcast provider just sends it out. But every now and then one of them will just get loads of views, but no likes or comments or anything. It just must have popped up on someone's for you page or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even know how that happened
Yeah.
because like no one's interacting with it. Why has it got so many views?
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a couple of my interviews like pop pretty big, and I'm just like, what happened here? Like, was it because the band shared it? Like, do they just
Yeah,
have that reach? Because other times, um, even if you have like a good rapport with a band, you're like, hey man, just whenever it's done, if you don't mind sharing it, yeah, no problem. And then they never do, and that
yeah,
that hits it hard, like because sometimes it just won't get anything unless somebody's like actively following the podcast or like searching for that kind of thing. So
yeah.
other thing to like work around too.
Yeah, that's like I said, like when I had Barney from Napalm Death on, it was like I was not expecting him to post about it because I don't think he even really uses social media that much, and I know that
Hmm.
Napalm Death I'm going to like link to some podcast, so it didn't get all of the views. I mean, it got a good amount of listens, but like not as much as you would hope for someone of that stature. But then like I had Su Lin from the band Propagandhi on,
Nice.
and because they shared it and like Chris from Propagandhi like tweeted about it or whatever, like the reach was so much further. It's like, oh man, I really wish that
I
but
know.
they could have just like put it on an Instagram story or something. But
Yeah, it's just everybody's got to help each other out. Like that's, but I get it. A lot of those bands don't have the time or the social
yeah,
media. Or whoever's running their social media
yeah, they have like a
probably
social
doesn't
media
give a shit.
manager and shit. They're like, we don't care about that. We have like this reel I have to share. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I think we've been going for like hour and a half or so. I like to
Yeah,
keep
it's
it
been a good
around
chat, man. Thanks.
hour-ish. Yeah. I guess final things. Where can people find your band? Where can people find your podcast? And give me your favorite Magic card right now.
Cool. Okay. Well, you can find Thoughtseize. We're on Spotify and all streaming platforms. It's just Thoughtseize, one word. Boom. Um, but on like Instagram, it's Thoughtseize Grind, and on Facebook, it's just Thoughtseize. We have a new album out. It's a self-titled album. Um, Stream it. I'm really proud of it. We have some pretty sick shirts. We have a sort of Feast of Famine shirt, which is
Nice.
got some really incredible artwork. Check it out. My podcast is called the Seabin Podcast, Seabin podcast.
Okay.
You can find it on Spotify and all other places you find a podcast. It's kind of like an interview comedy thing where people bring in their pet peeves and we discuss it and throw it into the trash. But if you like that, check it out. Thoughtseize have a tour. I don't know whether this will be out in time for the tour, but from on in April, the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, we're going to be in Tenay in Belgium, Ghent in Belgium, Aalst in Belgium, and Utrecht in the Netherlands.
Oh,
We're going to be
nice.
on the road with F Masculata. Well, there'll be posters and events shared on our socials. So if you're in those areas, come check us out. My favorite Magic card at the minute is tricky. I haven't. I've been so busy that I haven't like opened any like new product in a while.
Okay.
But one card that I really like that I'm good that we have a new Thoughtsy song that we're writing at the minute is a card from Karloff Manor, which is Vein Ripper. Like I just
Yes.
think that card is sick. Um, so that one's the only one that's like sticking in my mind at the minute. But there's
Perfect.
loads of great cards that are out, but for some reason Vein Ripper is sticking in my brain right now.
It's a good one. It's fairly recent. It's like a year old.
Yeah,
I still think
yeah,
that's recent, personally, man. What the Magic
yeah.
cycle
There's
is like.
so much stuff coming out. Um, I was like trying to think of like, oh God, what's even in like the newer sets because I just haven't opened any of it.
Mhm.
Um, but there's so much cool stuff. But my favorite card of all time is actually Damnation. Uh,
Perfect. And you
just
like the
just because
art?
it's
Like,
like love the art. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just like I know, and I love Wrath of God the same. But like I just think it's a perfect card. It's like it's the kind of card that you can play without having to read it, and you kind of remember what it does. Just destroy creatures that can't be regenerated. Boom. Um,
Done.
so
Board
that's
white.
that's the one that always sticks in my brain.
Perfect. Well, Sai, man, thanks so much for taking the time to do this, man. If anybody's watching or listening to this after all of our Magic rambling, please go check out his band. Like, seriously, they're if you like Magic and you like heavy metal, like, fucking lose here. Um, and go support new bands. Like, that's also very important.
Thank you so much, man, and I really appreciate you having me on. And
Yeah.
thank you for your time. And I'll have to you have to have you on my show.